Hi, everyone. Dr. Lorre here. And today I want to build upon what we've been discussing regarding this trifecta of trauma into moving into the arc of healing. And so just as a quick refresher, we have the individual traumas that we have all endured, and we're in various degree of healedness with regards to those. And then we have the unavoidable trauma exposure that we have at work that is inherent with the profession of nursing. And then we have that the straw that's breaking the camel's back, as they say. We have the avoidable nurse trauma exposure. And this is often due to those healthcare system inadequacies, such as short staffing, under resourcing, lateral violence, insufficient resources, and a host of other factors that we'll unpack in a future episode. So with clearly defining that as a big part of the problem that is facing our global nursing community, I wanted to also bring forth what we're doing in terms of moving towards healing, right? And so I want to introduce you. I'm going to share my screen again for a brief moment. I want to introduce you to an incredible guide and mentor of mine whose work has richly contributed to my own, and that you're seeing throughout all of my offerings to our global nursing community. This is Dr. Janet Quinn, and she has been a nurse scholar for a very long time, and right along with Jean Watson, another mentor of mine, both of whom endorsed my book, and I'm so grateful for their mentorship and support in all of that. Really have blazed the trail for caring science, and then also Janet brought forth, the whole Healan, the concept of Healan. And that has to do with, let me stop sharing here. The Haelan Effect is what she really brought forward, and that we're going to be talking about in so much more detail. So let me get another little something up here for you. And when we think about what is healing, right? We all know like healing, but let's define it. Let's define healing in a way that makes sense for nurse safety. Let's define healing in a way that makes sense for our professional well-being. And so I really drew from the work of Dr. Janet Quinn, who brought out the word Healan to my attention, which is I'll put it on the screen for us. It's spelled Haelan. And it's a beautiful Old English word that describes healing. And so what Healan is the condition or state of being whole, or being how in Old English terms. And so when we think about what is being whole, what is being healthy, well, I'm an integrative nursing professor, so this is my wheelhouse. And really, it comes down to one of the core tenets of integrative nursing is that we, our patients, and every person on the planet, we are whole human beings. Then we are inseparable from and influenced by the context in which we live and work. And so if we take this really integrative, this really holistic approach to looking at things, we can see that then healing and being a Haelan nurse, which I'm going to share again, just bear with me here. If I can make it big for you. There we go. So a Haelan nurse then are people like you and like me who are coming together individually and collectively and are engaging with healing by reconnecting within ourselves, reconnecting with one another, learning how to be regulated and insulated in our nervous system so we aren't bowled over by the broken healthcare system, how we can really start to restore our healer's heart. Now, our healer's heart is our why for nursing. It's why we got into the profession in the first place. We cared deeply enough to be in service to our patients and to one another and to our communities, to groups and families, We cared enough to endure all that was required to even be qualified to apply for nursing school. And then we got through nursing school, and then we passed our licensure exams. These are massive contributions that we have made and commitments to our profession. And so it's something that when we find that we can't practice to the full scope of our license, when we get manipulated like a pawn on a corporate chessboard, when we aren't provided with the resources we need to provide evidence-based care, when we are insufficiently staffed and feel like at the end of the day, getting out to our car or our mode of transportation to get home and kind of slumping over and feeling like, well, I did the best I could in a crappy system, right? All of these are mortal wounds to our healer's heart, our why for nursing. And so what part of being a Haelan nurse is not only reconnecting within and with one another, not only becoming insulated and really proficient in navigating our inner landscape and the language of our nervous system and vagus nerve, but also restoring our healer's heart. And through that, as individuals, that ripples out into groups and communities and global communities of nursing, where we can really start to affect change, not from the broken, unhealed places and ways in which nurses are being forced to practice, not there, but empowering ourselves to do the healing within and insulate ourselves from what's happening in the externals, and then working from that place to affect change. So I have another visual, if I can navigate navigate my screens here. Bear with me just one more minute. So I wanted to talk about what Janet Quinn brought forth the term the Haelan Effect. And so what the Haelan Effect is really the process through which healing occurs. So in her work, she used the framework, which was relevant at the time, of body, mind, spirit. And I think we're all very familiar with that. And so in the Haelan Effect, essentially is how we get to healing through a repatterning in any dimension of body, mind, spirit. And so how we as nurses do that for our patients is we support them by placing them in right relationship for that repatterning to occur. So in right relationship for healing. And that's what the Haelan Effect is. So thank you, Dr. Janet Quinn, for your profound contributions to our profession. And indeed, in my work, in my book, and in my academies, we leverage this Haelan Effect by positioning ourselves and one another in right relationship for healing. But it's not as simple anymore as just body, mind, spirit. What we really have is a new term that has emerged, which is body, mind, essence. And of course, it takes into account all of the traditional body, mind constructs and concepts, but there's so much more to the human experience that can't be captured by the word spirit. And so we're talking about legacies of ancestral healing, traumas, implicit memories, cultural and societal suffering, ancestral and generational suffering, racial and ethnic oppressions, gender challenges, fluidities, and oppressions, right? And so there's so much more to us than just simply body, mind, spirit. So I think of the Haelan Effect, and I'm going to invite you to do the same again, because we can't separate ourselves. We are whole people who are inextricably linked to the experiences of those who have gone before us through DNA and what we embody that has been transmitted or passed on to us, and all that we have experienced in our cultural and societal contexts. So when we think of the Haelan effect, we're thinking of putting ourselves in one another in right relationship for healing in body, mind, essence. So I hope that is some use to you. It really sets the stage for what we're going to be doing in the bigger picture in a very holistic and integrative manner, in that we're going to transcend this trifecta of trauma, often misattributed to burnout, and really start looking at how we can position ourselves and one another in right relationships so we can heal together in body, mind, essence, and start being the leaders of the paradigm shift to nursing 2.0, the nurse safety and professional well-being edition. So together we can do just that. And until next time, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. From my healer's heart to yours, thank you for the important work that you're doing, and namaste.